Marketing to me is asking the girl on a date. Branding is why they'll say yes. You have to know thyself. And those who don't know themselves, you are one question away from feeling like an imposter. Personal branding is just using your own story and your credibility and lending it to your business as a marketing tool and tactic. That's the next level of social media. It makes sense that this adopted boy from Korea who was bullied is now helping people find their identity through branding in business or through helping kids. When it's purpose-driven, you don't give a shit about money.
Yes.
You get up in the morning, this is a problem that is worth waking up to solve. Because I do not want to see more children being lost and families losing children to suicide because of bullying.
For people listening in who, let's say, have a personal brand, don't have a personal brand, or maybe like, let's say, sitting on the fence, why should they care about building a personal brand? Like outside of like doing it, like why should they actually care?
Well, there's been a big shift in who we trust away from institutions and toward not just the horse, but who's on the horse, who's the jockey on the horse. People care more about who's the jockey, not the horse. So 84% of millennials don't trust ads that come from the companies that make them. So that's HubSpot data from last year. It's a huge shift. So we used to believe in ABC, 7, 9, SBS, Sex Before Soccer, and whatever, and 10. But it's more like, look at who won the election this year. It was the podcast election.
True.
Trump reached 24 million people a week through podcasts. And that's not mainstream TV. It was on Rogan. Yeah, it was on this other person, people. So we trust people. And the stats say, even from Harvard Business Review, if you have my trust, you have my money. Mm. And people think, oh, I'm just going to spit out information on social media and they'll trust me. Nah, information's tap water now. You can get information anywhere. Give me insight. Mm. Show me the work. Show me that you can do what you say you can do. So it's like marketing to me is asking the girl on a date. Branding is why they'll say yes.
Mm. Why do you think it's gone in that way where it's so heavily like founder-led, focused on individuals versus, companies?
I think culturally it's been shifting with, I think, social media platforms, how we interact. We're less behind paywalls from accessing people through MTV and getting to the celebrity. Now you can just go direct to the people. It's always been Nike using athletes and athletes getting credibility from Nike. It's always been this symbiotic relationship. But now we can just go direct to them and we can see our heroes and all these celebrities, which then, like Spotify and all these other platforms, it gave access to be able to create new celebrities and be in different streams of influence. It's crazy to think that there's an accounting person or branding person now, or there's a buyer's agent celebrities now. There's these micro celebrities. Before they were only the Brad Pitts of the world. So I think it's the platforms that have really influenced how we interact and see and discover who is valuable or not. And also lots of shows and culture as well. We just gotten away from depending on institutions telling us how to think.
Logan Paul, Jake Paul, it's like crazy what they've done, hey? What they've built. You got soccer players who have more followers than the club they play for. True.
And you've got Logan Paul and all these guys who have far more reach than CNN. So the stats are in, like the reach and the influence from human beings. That's the world we live in, but it creates a lot of traffic and noise online, because then you got so many talking heads on your phone pop up. You're like, well, here's another guy telling me how to live my life. Who the hell is this guy? He's saying good things, but who is he? So we're in that stranger danger zone too. So we're very overwhelmed by talking head, but we can't deny the fact that we need to feel like we connect with you and trust you before we might buy from you.
If everything, let's say you built, like was erased, deleted, and you had to build your personal brand again from scratch, what's the first thing you'd do?
I have a model, which is called the House of Personal Branding. And I take all my clients through it, Lane Beachley, right through to Aaron Deering, to so many of great people we work with. What they do is, a lot of people do is they think, I'm just going to talk post content or even just like post something in the ad, wherever the mediums are about something so they see me. A billboard on a bus stop. I don't know why the hell real estate agents do that, by the way. I give real estate agents a lot of shit because you've got balls if you put your head on a bus stop and you're showing your full teeth. Seriously. You see any chefs put their head on a bus stop? Like, not even politicians do it. And,
they love it though, big ego.
Oh, they love it. But the playbook's old. I don't understand. It's like, oh, here's Natasha from Ray White. I'm like, I don't know Natasha. Anyway, lovely person, Natasha. No. So the idea is people go, I'm going to place myself everywhere and they'll trust. I take a step back and say, when you start a personal brand, you got to start with identity. You got to start with, what's my story? What's my message? What's my mission? And who am I? So the man, the mission, and the message, I call it, because that informs what to build. That informs what offers to create. You start within, or you're constantly insecure because you're asking basically the world to tell you what to do.
Yeah.
And you're reactive. It's like, no, McDonald's knows what it serves. It's like, if you want a 5-star burger, you go, if you want a 5-star steak, you're not going to go to McDonald's and be like, why don't you make steaks? And give them crap about it because they know their message and their offer and who their client is. People skip that because there's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's software work. They think, oh, hardware will fix software issues. It's like, no, it doesn't. So you've got to do a lot of, it's almost like therapy, and know who you serve. And it gives you your options. So that way I can talk to anyone over a barbecue, on social media, or just at an event. All the ancients didn't have what we have, but they all had that one clear, distinct message about themselves. We don't confuse Batman and Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Right? Even though they're both superheroes in category. So that's why you can be a real estate agent, but I only think of you when I think of real estate agent, if you're a real estate agent, because I've connected into something of your message.
Yeah.
That's the first level. Then it informs what to put out in the world and who to reach in the world. Where are they? So if you're in the funeral homes, maybe you got ads and bolos because that's where people play a lot. That's where that demographic is. So you got message, you got content or publishing, then you have your offer. So when you publish things, it creates a particular audience that resonate with that message. So it's not a whole bunch of, I see so many influencers who are really pretty, who have a big following, but a percentage of that following are just following them because to perv on them. They're not going to be buyers. I'm talking particularly, Ben, about using social media or your personal brand for commercial benefit, not for finding a lover or finding new friends. I'm really strict on my social media or my brand because if I have a closed group for family, closed group for friends, I don't show my private life online. That's my choice. So when I publish about these particular topics, it's obviously going to attract a certain percentage of people who may be resonating with that. A small percentage of them would want to maybe interact, and a small percentage of that might want to engage and buy or work with me. And the offer is so vital, as you know. It's like, well, you can gather an audience. Well, how can you help them? So is it through service, is it through product, is it one-to-many? And then above that is media. So that way you got third-party, unbiased validation to say Ben is who he says he is. It's not just himself talking out loud about, I see so many guys in buyer's agents land, the real estate agents, the only validation they have of themselves is of themselves. Like I see so many business coaches out there. It's a pet hate, bro. Like business coaches out there, they can talk a good talk, but I Google them and the only thing I can find on the internet is themselves talking about themselves.
It's true.
Like you are literally one question away from looking like a tool because like you can have like there's 3 modes of validation. You can talk about yourself, which is good because you can control the narrative. 2, your customers can say, "Oh, Matt really helped me." And 3, Forbes can say, "Matt actually did that, and he didn't pay me for that." So media is really important because it creates that separation of this guy's stranger danger, this guy's legit, and the top of the heap is partnerships. So when Ben Handler's name it carries a weight to it, a credibility to it that brands or businesses or people will go, just by your association with me, I see that valuable to give you part of my business.
That's deep. Just rewinding back to identity, like you've obviously got a proven process that you take all your clients through. But for someone listening to this, like going introspective and trying to work out like who you are, like that can be complex. Like any tips on like just trying to kind of crack yourself open a bit?
Yeah. So I was adopted from South Korea when I was 3 months old, and I didn't really care about that until my parents separated when I was 6. They look like you. Like my dad looks white and my mum looks white, and I looked like I was kidnapped. And it didn't bother me until they separated. I went to a new school and I got bullied severely for my race and ganged up on literally by several year 6 kids. And that's what made me really think deep and had to defend myself in all areas of life. Like I felt like a piece of crap. I felt worthless. And I noticed this somehow, I don't know why I was so self-aware so young, but I realized I was like, I'm so skinless. Every word hurts. It's because I haven't defined myself. I need to discover what I think I'm good at, or I'm at the mercy of other people's words and judgments. So I went on a very deep journey as a kid, and I realized that no one thinks about identity as much as an adoptee does. Like I've got Asian hardware but Australian software, right? So I don't look the way I feel, which is funny. Like I don't wake up in the morning and go, oh, I'm Korean. I think, oh, well, I don't know. But identity is really, brand is a synonym. Brand is a synonym for identity. And I usually say to people, look at superheroes, because I love superheroes, because they pretty much are archetypes for a particular person. So if you think about Spider-Man, where was he born? Do we know where Spider-Man was born? He was born in Manhattan. He lived with his Aunt May and Uncle Ben. Orphan. Batman had his family killed. Orphan. Superman was sent from another planet. Orphan. Matt Purcell. Orphan.
Interesting.
Like, it's very interesting.
Very interesting.
So if you dive deep into narrative, there are key backstories for every hero. But that's funny. I said it as a joke before, but you don't confuse Batman and Spider-Man, even though they're a superhero. Their backstories matter. So use, even as a template, a superhero frame. I call it the superhero framework in my process. Everyone has one. So you were born in a certain era. You had mum or dad or uncle, like Spider-Man. Was he popular or not popular? He was not popular. Was he a nerd or was he rich? He was poor and he was a nerdy. So it describes you in a snapshot. Like I call it dot point speaking. So just give me the dot points. Okay. Then a defining moment happened. Got bitten by a radioactive spider. Did he become a superhero straight away? No, he traded his abilities in for cashies. He actually wrestled for cash.
Yeah.
So we have these discoveries where these moments happen where you realize I have something to offer. Maybe I'm smarter or different. And then there's a big problem that happens that defines you. He lets a criminal go and he could have stopped him and he kills his uncle. And he's riddled with guilt. But he remembers his uncle's words, with great power comes great responsibility. That's Spider's tagline as a brand. And that is when he decided to become a hero, not a criminal. That's when he got his brand colors, his red and blue, and his suit on. And he used his abilities to be a local hero, not the alien fighting hero. He's a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. So he's locational. He's got a better, clearer brand than most real estate agents do, than buyer's agents do, than business people do. Spider-Man, you can recognize him because you can actually go and dress up and imitate him at Halloween. Donald Trump is the best marketer in the world.
I agree.
Yeah, so from everything from his outfit can be, if you can become a Halloween costume character and you're a real person and he's got mannerisms, he's got all that stuff, he does everything intentionally from the way he talks, the way he walks, the way he dresses.
I agree.
Yeah, not saying, I'm not just separating it from whatever view of whatever everyone has of him. Do you know what the power of that is? Somehow we bring him up in a dinner table and we've never met the guy.
It's true.
He makes his way into everywhere.
And you said podcasting, like he was the first president to go down that journey and do long form like that.
That podcast election, that won him everything. So he went on more podcasts, was willing to be able to play to his strengths, which is through conversation. We forget the guy was on this Celebrity Apprentice. The guy is a weapon with his words and with creating drama. He knows what he's doing.
Agreed.
Kamala was on there, only reached 6 million people a week. He was on more podcasts, was on 24 million people a week leading up to the election. Podcasts like this can expose you, or podcasts like this just magnifies what you've got inside you. If you're clear of what you are doing, then magnifies that. If you are trying to avoid stuff, it magnifies that. So that's why identity is vital. You have to know thyself. And those who don't know themselves, you are one question away from feeling like an imposter, because everyone else you're depending on to tell you, Ben, jump this high. That's high enough now. Matt, dress like that. Matt, you look like this person too much. It's like I am consistently insecure if I haven't defined and filled an answer for myself in the slots. And it's deep. It's very deep.
Very deep.
But when you can go through that process that I take my clients through, you're rock solid. You know what your message is, and you can focus on being creative. And that's where we want to play.
Yeah. So like leverage storytelling, like just even hearing your story, like it's emotive, it's captivating. Like, and I guess there's some people probably listening who maybe think they don't have a good story, but I feel like it's always like the random stories. Like you don't hear about your story very much. And it's just like, wow, like kind of like slaps you in the face a bit. And, you know what I noticed? Like whenever I see on Facebook or social, like someone being vulnerable and like sharing something very personal, not just the happy smiles. It could be like they're going through a very traumatic time. Like they're just being fucking real. That is when the most engagement happens, I find.
Yeah, it's true. People move at the speed of trust, and one of the ways you can build trust is how willing are you to be vulnerable and honest about what's happening. So to your point, the most engagement you see on social media is pain. Pain is the pitch. It always has been for the dawn of time, because with pain comes purpose. You know why? Because an ambulance only exists because of pain. So does police officers. All our central services' purpose is to relieve pain, but without pain, they would cease to exist. So when we see someone in pain, there's something in us that goes, maybe we can help, or maybe I've gone through the same thing. Oh God, like I'm not alone. It breaks down stigma. It creates so much. When we just share our achievements, we can't relate with everyone's achievements. It gives us inspiration.
Yeah.
And I think the only healthy dose of comparison is when you look at someone's achievements that are above yours, and you say, that's amazing that's possible.
Yeah. Like talking about authenticity, like people can't copy you. Like I can't be you. I can never be as good as you're going to be you. I can copy your website, I can copy your business cards, I can dress like you, but I can't be you. And I feel like that's like the unfair, like competitive advantage for people, which a lot of the time they're just trying to copy other people. Like they'll see your social media and they'll be like, fuck, I want to be like Matt. So I'll like start copying your reels or how you do things. But I think it's like you just got to show up and just be you. And that's it really.
The most uncopyable part of you is your story.
Yes.
That's it. I can copy your visual identity and your font colors. And that's what happens when you start getting good at what you do.
Yeah.
People start emulating you. If people start copying you, good. Shows that you're worthy of being copied.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool. But you're right. Like people invest so much money into trying to emulate what they think works.
Yeah.
So he looks really good in that T-shirt. Oh, I'm going to buy that T-shirt.
Yeah.
And it doesn't fit me because I'm not Ben's size. So it's like, wow. And do you know what's interesting about it? This is what in psychology they call it copycat syndrome, which means you basically are signaling that you lack your own identity and you are going to copy who you deem is successful because it's a proxy, but all your marketing efforts actually serve them, not you.
I heard you in an interview, I think you called it project homes. You're like using the copycats.
Yeah, so we got so many talking heads on the internet right now.
Yeah.
Just like every project home that the only thing that's different about a project home isn't actually the home, it's the car in the driveway.
That's it.
So we have so many project home personal brands because they just copy their competitor. They copy the literal captions and copy, and they put Alex Hormozzi's Band-Aid or like Nelly over their face and they think it's going to work. But it only reminds them of the person they're copying. All the marketing effort supports them, not you, because you're reminding them of the actual source. Literally, at a practical point of view, if you're looking for some active wear, most people have active tabs on their thing. So you've got Lorna Jane, and you've got 4 other competitors that are copying Lorna Jane. It's just reinforcing they should go to Lorna Jane unless they're looking for the cheapest price, and that's a race to the bottom. It's dumb, right? There's a place for cheap, but that's just interesting that it's just reinforcing uniqueness. Again, like what makes you different? Why should someone choose you over their competitor when you offer the same service, similar price? It comes down to only a few things, nuances like trust. When I was on a session muso, I could play the exact same things as the other guitarists who audition for bands, but it becomes less about ability. You have to be good enough to be in the room. It becomes more about likability and reliability and credibility. And they're all things people who are fixed-minded would go, that's a waste of money to invest in. It's like, well, that's why you're never going to be like the champs. You're going to be a chump.
Yeah.
I love that word, chump.
Chump.
That's like a little boy. Hey, you're just, yeah. My friend goes, I was at bacon eggs with my friend the other day, and I'm like, he's like, how many eggs are you having for breakfast? I'm like, 2. He's like, 2's for chumps. I'm like, you freak.
That's hilarious.
It's so funny. Yeah, so people invest. So that's why I do the sequence of the foundation is worth around 8 to 12% of a construction build in architecture. So my best mate, he's an architect, master's degree. 8 to 12% of your budget for a blueprint is often the construction build. I'm like, well, come on, mate, that's $100K if I've got $1 million budget, like for a CAD drawing with lines on it. So, but that informs everything else. So if you want to avoid finding out what you're made of, your blind spots, going back in your story, how you can turn it into a marketing tool, then you're probably on the path of looking like everybody else. So you can't expect much.
I love Seth Godin. I've always loved it. And my favorite book is The Purple Cow. Just around like fucking standing out, and especially in like in a crowded marketplace. And I guess there's all these people trying to build personal brands, right? And they're effectively just blending in, like they're blending into the norm. So I guess my question is like, what's the biggest misconception about people building personal brands that's like holding them back from standing out?
Yeah, I think the biggest misconception is that there's a couple of people on the sidelines. One is I'm not there's okay, let me reset. There's 2 types of people. There's people who want to be relevant, and there's people who are credible already. And the credible people, they've got legit receipts to show that I'm good at what I do and I've been around for a while. And their biggest fear is how they look. Both of them are scared of how they look. The ones on this side, being credible, like they think for some reason of the worst example of a personal brand they've ever witnessed. So the TikTok dancer who's like trying to be young but they're not, and just embarrassing themselves. They reference like the sleazy snake oil person who's talking about themselves the whole time, because the credible people are my favorite people to work with, because up to now, their whole life has not required them to be in front of camera. We've just lived our life saying, let me just put myself in my work. Yeah. Let my work speak for it. It's like, no, it's not about what you know. It's about what you show now. Like people, you are invisible if you don't show your work and show who you are. So that's where they're struggling. They're like, I'm scared to look like a tool. But there's people who are relevant and they're savvy marketers. They're good with creative. They're good with content. They're up with the trends. They can get engagement, but they're not credible.
Yes.
So you can have 1 million followers, but not really have a good offer and people don't really know why they're following you, just an entertainer, and you're living gig to gig.
Yes.
As a business founder, you want to combine both so that you get attention, so it drives awareness to what you do. Or you use your credibility and your relevance to attach to new ventures. So you might want to one day step aside from the business you're in so you can have new ventures on the side. And that's your personal brand. No one has shares in that. So I see there's two people there, relevance and credibility, and followers make you famous, business makes you wealthy, and they're not the same.
It's so interesting, the relevance and the credibility. So, the relevance, I only worked this out a while ago, right? So these young, or whether they're young or not, let's just say they've got this massive following, like 600K followers. Like a lot of them, I find like these influencers, they're broke. And because they don't know how to monetize, they're just doing it for vanity metrics, bumping ego, and they're not making money. And as you said, like they're living like kind of gigged or paycheck to paycheck. And then you're right, you got these credible people who, I only got onto the social organically like 10 months ago. I've
noticed.
I didn't want to be on there.
Yeah.
So I was like, I've actually got to get on here now. Like, otherwise I'm fucked. Like I saw where it's all going. And yeah, I that's how I was feeling. What you just shared. I was like, fuck, I'm worried how I look. I'm going to be an idiot. Like, what am I going to say? I totally resonate with that.
Yeah, right. It's absolutely true. We've got people who are athletes that come to us. We've got people who are founders who are millionaires. And they don't need to. I mean, the funny thing is, if you took the following away, you'd be going to be fine.
Yeah.
Like Gary Vee doesn't need his following. Like Boris doesn't need his following, right? Like they're all done well in business. So again, business makes you wealthy. Followers make you famous. So conundrum is this: if you've got a lot of engagement and a big following over here, and you don't attach business acronym to it, then you're just an entertainer. You're not an entrepreneur. You're living gig to gig. And a lot of athletes are in that position where we're working with some athletes who are as famous as they're ever going to be right now because they're playing and they're active. They desperately need to work on their brand ASAP now, because if they can connect it to a story and a message, then brands might want to associate with them. They can build a business from that or a partnership with that. Great thing the boys did at Inspired Unemployed. They got famous from just being tradies and doing skits, using that leverage of their community to attach to the beer business, which profited millions of dollars.
It's fucking amazing.
So the power of having a good following is there. The potential is there if you can yield it properly to drive it to what? What's next?
Yeah.
You go viral, then what? Always say then what at the end of anything. We're going to do this campaign, then what? Oh, then we're going to set up our EDM so we can communicate with an offer. Then what?
Then it just keeps going.
It just keeps going. And then eventually you have a sequence and a system. You don't get away with just vanity metrics that way. The phrase to cure vanity metrics is then what? I'll go viral, then what? I get to 1 million followers, then what? Who cares?
Yeah, it's true.
Oh, one last thing, Ben.
Yeah.
I've got a client. He's got 3,700 followers on Instagram. Has a 7-figure pipeline from it.
From 3,700?
Yeah,
3,000.
3,700.
Wow. Engaged.
Yep. Because he only helps gym owners. Yeah, and he sells by, like, he's attached his sales acronym to the attention. So there's sell by chat and a whole bunch of things. But it's very well done. So he's 3,700 followers versus the influencer who has 1 million. He can't make $10.
But I think also just talking about those influencers, like they probably suck at sales. They've never sold before, so they don't even know like how to run a business. And so I think they're missing certain skills, and maybe that can they can benefit from your latest venture.
Yeah, I think whatever your strength is, if you've got business acumen but you don't have, you need to learn from the influencers.
That's it.
So we need to meet in the middle. I think that's where the playbook is. Because imagine if I'm an influencer with 1 million followers and I really don't know anything about business. I'm basically a famous singer and someone has to manage me. But you're like, I can use you here, I can attach you here, blah, blah, blah. And it's actually a lot to expect of an influencer, like, because we don't learn business in school. You just think that's the only goal. You've reached the peak of success for you to be known. But yeah, 1 million followers doesn't convert into a mortgage broking or to get a mortgage from the bank. Yeah, so I think so for founders out there, I think the big shift now is if personal branding or founder-led or expert-led content is the future right now, then that's the marketing tactic. Personal branding is just using your own story and your credibility and lending it to your business as a marketing tool and tactic. So you might use the budget that you put behind certain other things in your business it's going to go toward you, him, and her. So I'm going to New Zealand to talk to one of the biggest real estate agents in New Zealand about personal branding stuff for the whole group. So in-house personal brands is key. I think when you can, not weaponize, that's a bit violent, but when you can have selected people who are forward-facing in the business where there's an overlap of company and individuals and accounts, you get more reach.
Yes. And
more credibility and more, they're singing the same song. The best real estate agent is doing this is White Fox.
Yeah.
With Marty Fox.
Very good.
They're the best at the moment, in my view. They all sing the same song. It's classy. Some would say it's cocky, but it's not very cocky. I think it's just classic, their genre. And it's playing different playbook to the industry they've got. Every industry has a playbook.
Yeah.
And why would you stick exactly to the exact playbook as your competitor is doing for marketing? Like, why would you do that? You're only going to end up with the same Lego house if you follow the same thing. You've got to be able to look within yourself and look at, I love my customer. My customers are like this type of personality in these things. We're going to just speak to their situations. Yes. The more clearer I can be with my content, speaking to specific situations of my ideal person, which already have customers. If you've got customers, you already have a clue of who you need to create content for. More of that.
Yeah.
Because a person's only looking at a piece of content one person at a time, me experiencing this through the phone. And if your content speaking directly to me, Matt, you have an agency, blah, 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 and you have this many staff, and you're trying to reach blah, 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 blah. It's like, wow, it's almost like reading my mail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's direct. I had a question. I want to get your feedback. I think Tony Robbins was quite advanced with this. Like, Tony Robbins, everyone knows his name, but no one knows he's 152 companies. Like, I wouldn't even be able to name 5 of them. And I feel like he jumped on that wagon a long time ago. But like, even when I was researching you, I knew Matt Purcell. Like, I knew your name. So I guess where I'm getting at is like, I feel like where it's going, it's like Logan Paul, Jake Paul, like we know their name, Mr. Beast. I don't even know his real name.
Me either.
Yeah. And and I don't know his companies. I know maybe a few of them, but I feel like where it's going, it's going to be like the person, the human, they're everything, you know, the extension of who that, you know, of life. And then there's all these like companies that kind of just sit underneath. Like, do you see it like that?
Yeah, I do. I actually see a shift. I see this right now. This is interesting. I haven't said this to anyone yet. My prediction is this: personal branding is at its peak right now. Everyone trying to build a brand online. Eventually, people will collaborate and combine their personal brands and set up the institutions again. And we trust that name because Ben's there, Matt's there, Arjun's there, blah, blah's there. And that's what gives that thing credibility and a shot.
Interesting.
And essentially, if you think about it, that may be what institutions always started with.
Yeah.
A bunch of influential people who attached and associated to this creation. Because it's an intangible asset. Like Harvard is a building, but it's a verb now. But there are certain associations with people with that make it that. This person came from Harvard. This person came from this result comes from Harvard. So there's always that person results that is branding is this association between two things. So if I stand next to a politician, that associates me with that party. If I stand next to this, you know what I mean? So I feel like it's already happening. I know within my network, how can we combine our personal brands to be able to create ventures where people are looking for help and they trust us?
It's powerful. What you've done with Janine, right?
Yeah, Janine Alice and I. The Business Academy, we feel there's 4.2 million business owners in Australia. There's 2 and a bit million business owners in Australia. And you don't need an MBA degree to start, obviously. So there's a lot of crying out for help.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of institutions and coaches out there that haven't actually done the work.
I know.
And I get this. I sit with a sales course sometimes and they're saying to me, oh, Matt, are you like this person we joined up with? Or are you like this group that we joined up with? I'm like, who were they? And we look them up and we're like, no way, we're not with that. Like, I don't know who that person is. Like, I'm not promoting myself as the guru or anything like that. But for one thing I know for sure, Janine Ellis, 800 stores worldwide.
She's got the tick.
Why would you listen to anyone that hasn't achieved what you want to achieve? Why would you want to take advice from someone? Like, listen, I don't get it. I think people need to stop taking advice from people that haven't achieved what they want to achieve or are going where you want to go, because it'd be like going, I want to climb Mount Everest, but you've only climbed a ladder and you're saying, follow me.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say to you, no, I can't follow you because you haven't been there. You can't show me the way. And that's what the internet's full of. So Janine and I, we always have been helping people on the side as much as we can, not even for money. Just like when we first talked about it, she was like, oh, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm doing branding stuff and all that for business, but I'm helping this person. She's like, yeah, I'm helping this single mum over there. She's so kind and so genuine about helping people. She doesn't need to. She's got the wealth and got the success. She's earned it. Like, well, we want to do something that is not snake oilsy. We could make so much more money if we just did the playbook. And we're not.
Yeah.
We're in early days still, but it's definitely a different culture and vibe because we're not as dependent on it for ourselves. We just want it to be as useful as possible versus as rich as possible. So we kind of like going, oh, well, we could be moving faster, but we're trying to be very quality about it.
It's a very interesting perspective you just shared about these personal brands coming together like you and Janine, because it's interesting what you're sharing, because when I got into online education, like I consider myself that I did the hard yards. I spent 10 years building a business in the buyer's agency space, and I felt like I understood it well and I executed well. And when I got into online education, I was doing sales calls to begin with to just hear objections and learn from the customer, and people would like, oh, are you a scammer? Like, are you like this person? I look at that person. I was like, what? Like, and so it's just a wild world out there. People, they get sold bullshit. You're right. A lot of the people who are selling stuff, they haven't executed. Like they get rich selling whatever they're selling. That's how they become successful. So I think like these individuals like you, Janine, coming together with track record, credibility, execution, it's powerful. And I think like the more that starts to evolve and the collaboration starts to move, I didn't think of it like that. That's powerful.
Yeah, it's going to happen more and more. One Life Club, some friends of mine, Simon Beard and Emil, they joined forces and started a business group. They're doing a great job. And it's completely different to the traditional BMI and different business clubs out there. They're more going for an advisory, kind of just a community thing. We just get together in person and we share. And we focus on, that's great what they're doing. I'm cheering them on. So the cool thing is, I don't see everyone as a competition in that way. It's like there's such a big net. When you're clear on your mission, you want to champion other people who are on the same mission, because you can't possibly, one ambulance and one hospital in one city can't save the world.
Yes. You do a lot of speaking. Seems like you do a lot of interviews, like you interviewing people interviewing you. Is there like a story that you haven't shared like publicly a lot that's had a lot of impact into like the person you are today? Is there something that like a situation or an experience that, because you do hear from people obviously a lot of the same stories around which defines who they are, but I guess is there something else that you really haven't shared?
I just think you just never know who's watching you. You never know. Sometimes you just feel like you're doing everything right and nothing's going right. So I remember when I was posting on social media for my local business, and I started it was in Newcastle. We had 3 campuses. We were helping 600 families a week with NDIS support and all that. So learned a lot in the trenches. And this is when I started thinking, I think this is coming to run its course. I would love to do more brand and business focus, helping B2B, not B2C. And I started putting myself out there, and there was no well-trodden path for self-promotion kind of content. And I was doing it. And then a celebrity reached out and they said, hey, would you like to be on my podcast? I'm like, yeah, sure. And I'm from Newcastle. And I was on their podcast. And then I invited them on my podcast. And then it's like, would you consult me with the stuff that you're doing? I think you're doing something really good. And that opened a whole new world up of things where you're like, wow, I didn't realize that these boardrooms existed and screaming matches between elderly men happened here, and 12 people will rug up to a meeting, only one person would be there talking. I can't tell you how many things we could both have stories where it's like, I remember working with a large company, like household name, 12 people rocked up to the studio, and I'm just thinking about all the salaries that are in this room, and no one spoke except one person. I'm like, what the frig are you guys doing? You idiots. But I think we all have moments where you don't know if you're being watched, and it doesn't matter. You should the Bible says, whatever you have in your hand, do it with all your might. Doesn't matter who's watching you. And I learned that from my dad when I was singing at cafes for chicken schnitzels, and I was complaining to him saying, there's no point, no one's ever there. And then a businessman one day saw me play and said, you're going to open for Westfield for the shopping centre. I was 16. And it was $1,000. It's more money I've ever saw in my life at that point. It's those reminders that whoever's out there putting out the right things, obeying the process, you could be one phone call away. You could be one DM away.
Yeah.
And I owe it to those people. And now I'm in that position now where I get to see that on other people. Like, I see gold in you, and I think we could do something good together. So that's talent spotting, right time, right place. And also just being consistent. There's one thing I got really scared about was niching.
Yeah.
I don't know if you think about niching. Some people go, I'm going to start a personal brand. I'm going to talk about fitness, spirituality, coffee, parenting, relationship advice. It's like, whoa, what are you? You're a general store. That's what you are. Think about this. Gordon Ramsay, he's seen as a big TV star, and he is. But what is he really, if you had to boil it down to why he is earning his way there? What do you think that is? He's a Michelin star chef. He's a freaking weapon.
Yeah.
And so I call this the tree trunk. So the tree trunk is the credibility. I can always point back to one thing someone's known for, they've earned their credibility with. For you, it's your buyer's agency, right? You built that, sold it for millions. Fantastic. Janine, Boost Juice. Regardless if you know who from Shark Tank, Australian Apprentice, and all that, it's always something there that you got to earn. And then from the tree trunk, when you start doing that over time, that's niching. Then there's the tree branches. I can talk about business sales now, and I can talk about fitness and mindset and team management and all marketing. But it always points down to what is that thing holding it all together. So I was terrified as a creative because creatives don't like being pigeonholed. I'm going to be all about branding. I was like, what the hell? That is terrifying.
But how did that come about? I'm just curious. Like, how did you go from Muso to then like, I'm going to get into B2B branding?
I had identified in myself that my favorite thing to do in business was the marketing part.
Okay.
So it was a very self-electing thing.
Yeah.
So, okay, out of all this, I was a general store. So I was doing a celebrant work. I was a musician on the weekend. I was speaking. I was being a coach, like a mentor to kids, running the studio. I'm like, whoa, people are confused. People think, oh, Matt's a celebrant and Matt's that. And I'm like, whoa. And I remember one night I was with some mates and we were all talking about where we're going to be in 50 years. And I was freaking out because I'm like seeing myself as Mr. Miyagi doing 5 things still, doing a monkey dance and being a celebrant. Oh, I'm playing the guitar. I'm like, no, what am I good at out of all those 5 things? What made me get all that money from all those 5 things? It's like, no, it was branding. It was marketing and branding. So I'm like, okay, so there was a pattern of success even when I was stretching myself to 5 things. And it's my instinct to know what people's attention is watching. I'm generally interested in what makes people behave and I'm always first on the trends for the clients I have and all that. Not because of my job, it's because I'm generally interested in human behavior. Like whatever gets attention, that is a currency. It's oil.
Yeah.
People pay for that. People's Instagrams have more eyeballs on it than the AFR sells papers. So like it's ridiculous. So I was always drawn to that. So I thought if I was going to be an expert in anything, I have track record even from my own experimenting on thyself to be able to point to that. So it's never fake it to make it, face it to make it. So I always try to experiment on myself with anything I've done before I go, hey, have a sip. Because it's just integrity.
Yeah.
And once again, I really value that you shouldn't talk about things unless you've actually done it, unless you have a firm understanding. You shouldn't be in a paid position, in my view. It's very risky to be under somebody's guidance if they haven't climbed Mount Everest, if that's where you want to go. You've got to know the path.
Yeah.
And that's where I feel like that narrows it down right now to the real experts. And the real ones, in my view, they're not known. So most people's problem today isn't their talent, it's their visibility.
Yes. Getting back to that credible person, a
Mm,
lot of them are invisible.
they are. It's the world's best kept secret and it breaks my heart. Because I want to see more of them on my I actually want things that are useful. I want insight, not information on the feed.
Interesting. Just on that credible person, so a lot of CEOs, right? Let's just say CEOs of let's just call it private companies. Like a lot of them aren't on Instagram. Like, just do you see a shift happening where those credible people, where they're CEOs or founders who are invisible? Like, do you see them kind of just working out they've got to become visible?
Yeah. They're dreading it. A lot of people are like, oh, why? They're like, fuck it, I have to do this. Some don't need to. It's part of their plan. Sometimes they can make an executive decision to go, someone else can be the face, like the key person of influence of this company. But it's natural to think the most senior person in your organization would have some interesting war stories and trust. And when people can see that, especially with age, I think when I've worked with guys like Mark Boris and Janine Ellis and Lane Beachley, they're older now. I remember telling Boris once, don't forget, even though you don't want to be older, no one wants to be, the older you are, the Bible says that silver hair is the crown of the wise. So the older you look even, the perceived weight of what your words carry, like what you say, will far be more valuable than a young kid who says exactly what you say. So lean into the authority of age. And so CEOs that are older, your words pack way more punch than the young kid. I remember watching this movie once. There was a Netflix show called Altered Carbon. It's in a futuristic world where everyone had sleeves as a body, so they call them sleeves. And you have a microchip in the back, that's your soul. So you can technically put that into other bodies. And the rich all had downloads of themselves and backup files of themselves. So anyway, the main character is this guy who is hired to find out who killed this rich guy's clone. And the rich guy is walking around, he's in like a middle-aged body, silver hair. And the main character goes, why, out of all the bodies you could choose in the world, would you choose that kind of like dad bod, older, 60-year-old man? He's like, well, I want authority. And if you look at ancient Greek mythology, who were they? Zeus. Was he young or old? So I'm choosing to be in an older body because of the authority that it carries. I'll never forgot that. Interesting.
Interesting. Very interesting. Cheat code for 2025. Like, I hate the word cheat code, but for people like listening to this who are on a branding journey, whether it's business related, personal, what do you see as some like, what do you see as, even as like, let's call it hacks, like things that they can get their nails into?
Yeah, I think less about how many followers you have, and think more about how many of those followers would be potential buyers from you. Don't be afraid to keep it as a commercial benefit. Like, don't confuse that I'm trying to make friends or find a partner. I've got to please everyone. Tell your partners, tell your friends, hey, listen, I'm going to be a punish if you follow this account. I'm going to talk about what I've learned, what I've experienced, and give value about my topic one of the first things you should talk about with hacks is don't talk about information. Talk about two things, insight and interpretation. Insight means that you're inside the cup and there's details that are inside it that only you can see because you're inside it and it's invisible from anyone outside it. Insight means you've been there. So insight means you got stories, you got results, you got values, you need to gather those stories. You need to gather them. That's what makes you noteworthy. And also if you were to write a book, it's uncopyable, right? So insight and interpretation is, yes, we get information, we get told that the RBA is blah, 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 this or this. What's your interpretation of that? Be willing to put your opinion out there, and it could be wrong and argued against. That's seriously the mark of a strong person, is you have a bloody preference. AI doesn't have a preference. You know, maybe they'll make personalities. This AI will have a certain lean toward this way or this way. But right now, what makes us distinctly Ben and Matt is that I don't like country music as much as I like pop, blah, blah, blah. And I don't like seafood as much as I like a steak. I have a preference. And some people could go, oh, I'm offended by that. I don't give a crap. You're not my customer or you're not my friend, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And I tried him. If my preference for not liking something offends you, then that's your issue, not mine, because I'm not attacking you. I just don't like that as much.
Yeah.
So that's one of the hacks. If you're going to put yourself out there, that means you can confidently just speak about things you know. You don't have to compare yourself and be anything you're not. Again, face it to make it, not fake it to make it. And then you find a medium. One of the hacks is either you can type or you can talk. They're your two modes of content. If you're not a good talker, learn to try to, because 78% of people hate public speaking. I think it was like some Harvard Business Review again. They did some stat on like, we think we hate public speaking. We hate it. We fear it more than death. That means if you actually learn how to public speak, do media training, or you learn how to get better at the camera, you're on the top 22% of people in your industry that aren't on there. And I think video is the quickest way to trust, because they see your face, they hear your tone of voice, they see your eyes. But typing, I see LinkedIn is a great stool. It's moving toward video. I think LinkedIn is a fantastic platform for this year. I think that's a really big hack. They're moving way toward the video stuff. So if you've got videos from other platforms, that's where you can test it out there. But all the insight and info, typing's fantastic there. So if you're a good writer but not a good talker, that's your place to be on. Yeah. And I think another hack is, and for you and I, we both do this as Business Acronym Marketing 101. Remember this. You don't own LinkedIn and you don't own your Instagram account. You have access to it, but I can't sell. It doesn't have monetary value like my database for my business does if I sold it. So we call that a rented crowd on Instagram and LinkedIn, versus if I have in my database, it's my owned audience. So if you're building an audience and you want potential buyers, the whole game is to be able to earn the trust and honestly try and serve them and offer them a way to go qualify yourself to show you're interested in me. So that means they leave Instagram or TikTok, come to your website, and then you are focusing more on that community as much as the TikToks and the Instagram and LinkedIn. That's the next level of social media.
I love that point. It's like leveraging just that audience distribution and then, getting them into a newsletter or getting them into something that you own. I love that. Yeah,
and investing in that small audience, and maybe so small. I've just created a free course for my audience.
Yeah.
For the ones in there. I just sent it to them last night, literally. And they're all loving it. So it's fantastic. Like, I want to create content as much as I know it's like, wow, it's content galore. But that's the sequence I think it takes. Why else would you ever do it then? Like, think about all the time in the investment to be able to make content, if just to be able to be in a rhythm of, I've just created a duty of like a rhythm I have to post today. It's like you could be doing 700 other things with your life. So there has to be a clear purpose and sequence out of it. Posting social media, gathers them all together. Eventually you want to offer them something that gets them to like qualify themselves and be like, I'd love more help with that. And it might be free, it's fine. And you nurture that, you invest in that audience, and eventually you have all the other offers that you have to serve their problem. That's how we use it. Other than that, it's the same as TV. Like TV in the day, why would I pay $250,000 to be on TV back in the day? What's the point? It's going to drive awareness and traffic back to my home base.
Yes.
My website, fill out a form, let's book in a call. Don't forget the fundamentals.
Yeah. Who inspires you? Like when you like, it doesn't even need to be an entrepreneur, but like out of curiosity, like you're a creative guy, like is there particular individuals that you like listen to regularly or?
Reference points?
Yeah.
They're mostly dead.
Okay.
I'm pretty deep. I'm dumb and deep.
Okay.
Double D.
Double D.
Dumb and
Triple
deep.
D.
Yeah, triple D. I don't know what the other one is. Dick. I don't know. Dumb, deep, and a dick. No, probably. I'm really into ancients, man. I'm really like seriously like Jesus, Aristotle, anything philosophy based is fantastic because it comes back to first principles, like in principle driven living and proverbs and things like that. Really always inspire me. And that's like that's food for my soul. And other guys recently like that are great with their tactics. I think Hormozy's fantastic. I've been loving to see his journey from like it's almost like a transition from Gary V's who are getting older now and we're growing up with them.
I just thought of that the other day around the Gary V that transition into Hormozy.
Yeah, it's like a new gen. I believe there's a new gen of entrepreneur, influencer, celebrity that's upon us right now. There's a guy named Ryan. I cannot remember his last name, but he's Asian like me. He's pretty cool. He's like a real estate Christian business guy now. He's come out as a Christian. He's pretty cool with his stuff.
Aussie guy?
No, he's American, yeah. So like you got your Hormozys, you got Cody Sanchez's. They're all the new gen. They're like our age, like mid-30s to 40s. And there's a sense of Bruce Lee-ness to it where they're discarding what's not useful and applying what's useful to the current market. So we're always going to have references. In Australia, I want to see more people in our own home turf. But we're just so threatened by success in Australia, of people's success. And we just want to, I see ads on our business academy when Janine's on it, and she's like, we just want to help people in this stage. And you can see comments in there, and they're just like full of jealousy of, who's this woman? I was like, well, she's a 32-year-old mum who started a business for a kitchen table who somehow, through hard work, built it to an 800-store empire. Try and find someone like, we should be celebrating this person way more than she already is. It's just such a bullshit culture of you can be big but not too big. Well, if you made it in America and you come back here, then we'll treat you like an American, not an Aussie. But I think there's a change coming, even in our networks. Like we know a lot of people that are connected to each other today, and they're actually all pretty positive people. We all want everyone to win in our network. That's what I'm encouraged about. There's this new breed of entrepreneur where it's not the old school killer instinct, kind of like a Wall Street dude.
Yeah.
Like, no, seriously, I want you to win. Congrats, man, on your doubling your revenue from last year. Fantastic. I hope you win that award. So I want to, that's my group of friends now versus from a small town mentality in Newcastle who are like, you can't be that because you're a wanker if you do that. It's like, well, you're a wanker for not wanting me to be who I want to be. Get stuffed.
The tall poppy's real. Like it's hardcore. Out of curiosity, you said like when you were younger you got bullied. Was that in Newcastle?
Yeah.
Have you reconnected with any? Do you see any of those people? That old circle?
Not the bullies.
Not the bullies.
No, I haven't even Facebooked them. They probably blocked it out of my head because if I see them, I might want to go, you're dead. No, I'm over it now. I haven't thought about it.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. That's a good question, but no one's ever asked me that before. So how are the bullies going that bullied you?
I was just running because I was thinking because you've got a public profile, you're online a lot. And I was just wondering, they're probably sitting there going, fuck, Matt, look at my life, I'm fucked. Gee, Matt's made something of himself. Fuck.
I've had a couple of them from other people, and that's really, it's like always a surprise. So from the identity piece of your pain is an indicator of purpose because, again, essential services wouldn't exist without pain. Firefighters wouldn't exist without crisis. I created Social Kung Fu, which is my anti-bullying company. We're building the world's first AI-powered app that's evidence-based from the University of Sydney on verbal abuse. So basically everyone's getting bullied in kid land on text now and talking, not kicks and punches. The stats say that's not the main form of abuse now. But we have no black belt system for words, but they can get you in massive trouble, get you high, they get you fired, they get you on a date, they can cause war, cause peace. So I crafted these frameworks from working in the trenches, from being bullied and also from helping kids with my youth centre. Gave them to a psychologist that said this was research around that. And then the University of Sydney professor, Carolyn Hunt, she's a psychology professor of Australia. Like she's the biggest, she's awesome. She's like, this is my passion. I would love to do research on this through the university. And we've done it. It's evidence-based. So it's crazy that a kid who failed school, I failed school, typical cliche story, isn't it? I failed school. And now look at me now, bitch. Like, and but it makes sense that this adopted boy from Korea who was bullied is now helping people find their identity through branding in business or through helping kids. It's completely custom to my experience.
That seems very purpose-driven, that venture.
Yeah, it is. It means a lot to me. It's something that when it's purpose-driven, you don't give a shit about money.
Yes.
You get up in the morning, this is a problem that is worth waking up to solve. Because I do not want to see more children being lost and families losing children to suicide because of bullying. And schools ignoring parents' freaking call to the school saying it's not properly recorded as a phone call. You have to send an email, it doesn't get back to you. It's bullshit. I was on the news yesterday talking about it. Schools have to pull their freaking act together because parents then have to take it in their own hands and say, this is life or death to my kid. I'm taking them out. But then I have a job.
Yeah.
And my partner has a job. So how do we homeschool? Like this is a huge year for parents this year. You got the social media ban coming up. That's all purpose driven. Like pain and purpose are so connected together. And maybe that's a hack for people today. If you don't know your purpose in life, what's your pain?
Yeah. Use that as fuel.
Use that as fuel. Is there anything in you from that pain you're like, I'm really against that abuse. I'm really against people walking out on you. I'm really against being misunderstood. Maybe the universe is calling you to be part of that solution. Even a volunteer level. It's just a dose of being part of something like that. Money can't fill that gap, man. Once you solve your money problems, you're left with problems that money can't solve. Right? And you're left with yourself. When you go on the pill, are you proud of yourself? Are you making a difference? Is that pain that you experience, are you being used as a vessel to be able to help other people or get over it yourself? Identity is everything, because if you lack it, then sometimes you're driving in your car and you're driving to destinations and you get to the end of your life and you're like, well, I did it for everyone else.
Yes.
Life's too short for that, man. So in business, if you want to get a personal brand, get over yourself. If you've got a real purpose and you want to do it, flip and give me a call and I'll help you. But or just get started and just do a little bit of inner work. Maybe Ben, you can help him with that too. You're a bit of a monk as well. You're a pretty spiritual dude, but you have a whole aura about you is so genuine and your eyes are so fixed and you're here with me. I really admire that about you, actually. Don't call that out. But yeah, the world needs more credible people to be seen. If you're frustrated that people that are gurus on your feed in your industry are ruining it, that's your call.
Matt, thank you.
No, thanks for having us on
I've
the show.
enjoyed this chat.
Me too.
Thanks, brother.